Hi, Ladybirds. So, one of the things we started thinking about last week in our learning time was I really wanted some questions and some ideas of things that you wanted to learn about. And I had quite a few questions come through to me, which were really interesting. Some of them were about thinking about how space has started, what's out there, and how did planets come about, which was an incredible question by one person. So I thought I'd share a little bit about this book because this book's a really helpful one to think about different questions and think about how we can explain what's happening. And this is called I Wonder Why. There's a whole series of these books, and this one's a lot of this is about stars and planets and space. And it says, I wonder why stars twinkle. Now to answer that question, in here it says, what is the universe? And it says here, the whole world and everything beyond it is called the universe. It is all the stars and all the planets, the earth and its planets and animals, you and me, absolutely everything. And it said, how did it start? Well, an astronomer is someone who studies stars and the earth and different planets and tries to find out about space. And it says here, many astronomers think that everything in the universe was once packed together in one small lump. Then, and this is about 15 billion years ago, what a huge number, 15 billion, there was a gigantic explosion, which was called the Big Bang. And it says here, which is something maybe when you come back to school we could have a go together, or if you happen to have a balloon at home, you could do it. But it says to see how the universe is getting bigger, you can put some spots on a balloon, and as you blow the balloon up, you can see how it got bigger. And this shows you a little bit here about the Big Bang, the explosion, and then it shows you how things were spreading out. So that's quite an interesting one. Great question that someone asked me about that. Now, so far we've started to look a little bit about planets, and we had a few questions around planets too. So I taught you a little bit about this last week, thinking about what type of planets we have, how many different ones we have. It says here, our planet, the Earth, and this is quite nice, it gives you a bit of an idea of the size and perspective. So that's the size of the Earth. Look at the size of Jupiter in comparison. It's huge, isn't it? Our planet, the Earth, has 7 neighbours. Together they make a family of 8 main planets that travel around the Sun. We call the Sun and all the space bodies that whirl around it the solar system. Besides the Sun and the planets, the solar system includes moons, dwarf planets, a little bit like Pluto, which you can barely see because it's so tiny. It's just docked there. Asteroids and comets. Now, what's the difference between stars and planets? And that's a really interesting question that someone was inferring to me that they wanted to know. The planets aren't as big or as hot as stars, and they can't make light of their own. They were made from the leftovers of the same gas and dust cloud that gave birth to our star, the Sun. So it says there that planets aren't as big, they're not as hot, and they can't make light on their own. That's very interesting. There's slightly difference between what we call stars and what we call planets. Now, why is the Earth so special? So we talked a little bit about the Earth last week as well, didn't we? The Earth, that says our planet is the only one in the solar system with water and living things on it. That makes it very special. It's the 3rd planet from the Sun, and it gets just the right amount of heat and light to keep us alive. Any closer, and it would be too hot. Any further away, and it would be too cold. important that Earth is. It's just in the right position that it doesn't get too hot or too cold for us. Oh, this is a good one too. Which is the hottest planet? Now, Venus isn't the closest planet to the Sun. Now, we learned a little bit about Venus the other day, and we said, didn't we, that Mercury was first, then Venus, then Earth. So Venus isn't quite the closest to the Sun, but it is the hottest. The temperature there can reach 500 degrees. That's about 8 times hotter than it gets in the desert, the hottest place on Earth. And to see, although Mercury is closer to the Sun, Venus is hotter because Venus is covered by clouds of gas which act like a blanket, keeping in the Sun's heat. So Venus is a little bit like having a big blanket over the top of it, so all the heat can't get out. Mercury is covered in craters. Oh, we've started learning about that word, haven't we? Craters. Hollows made by huge space rocks crashing into it. If you could visit Mercury, you would see that the Sun looks more than twice as big as it does from Earth. This is because Mercury is so much closer to the Sun. Some really interesting things there that I'm hoping you're enjoying finding out. Now, we did start to learn a little bit about this one before, and this question was, which is the biggest planet? Jupiter is so huge that all the other planets could fit inside it. Wow! The beautiful patterns on its face are made by swirling clouds of gas stirred up by powerful windstorms. Jupiter was named by the ancient Romans after the king of their gods. The planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are called the gas giants. They are all very big, and they are mainly made of gas with small rocky centres. This is Saturn's rings. Many people think Saturn's glistening rings make it the most beautiful planet in the solar system. Pictures sent back to Earth by space probes have shown that the rings are made up of ice, rock, and dust. Wow, really interesting thing, is it now? Is there anything else that you have been asking me? Let me have a little look. Now this is one of the ones I just want to show you. So, we've been starting to learn a little bit more about stars, and here it tells us a little bit more about stars. Stars aren't solid like the ground beneath your feet. Instead, they are made of gases, like the air around you. Now, gas is quite a funny thing for you to probably understand, because gas isn't really something that you can see very clearly. But imagine it a little bit like air. So, like, you breathe in air, but you wouldn't really want to breathe in gas because it wouldn't, or certain types of gases, because it wouldn't be very good for your body. There's the two main gases. The two main gases in stars are called hydrogen and helium. They are the star's fuel. Stars make heat and light from them. Why do stars twinkle? Stars only twinkle when we look at them from Earth. Out in space, their light shines steadily. We see them twinkling and shimmering because the air around the Earth, as light from a star travels towards us, is bent and wobbled by bubbles of hot air. So it looks like the stars are twinkling. Because we're so far away, and the way that their light is travelling towards us, it looks a bit twinkly. Are stars star-shaped? No. Stars are round, like balls, so stars are like a sphere shape. We give them pointy edges when we draw them because that is what they look like from Earth, with their light blinking and twinkling. That's really fascinating, isn't it? Well, I hope you've enjoyed, ladybirds, finding out a answering a few of your questions, a few of the things you've been interested in, and thinking a little bit more about the planets and the stars that we have in space around us. See you later, ladies.